Okay, great. So I think we can go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to the Tulane School of Professional Advancement Public Administration Informational Webinar. I'm Dr. Halima Leek Francis, Director of the Public Administration Program. We have here my colleague, Sheila Gold, who's the Executive Director of Recruitment and Admissions, and also my colleague, Brian McNamara, who's also, who is a public administration or the public administration professor of practice for the program as well. So for today, we're going to be sharing with you information about the School of Professional Advancement, or SoPA, as we love to call ourselves, and also information about the public administration program. As we get started, again, if you're able to turn on your cameras and engage with us in that way, that would be wonderful. And also, we like to know where our guests are joining us from. So if you could just put in the chat where you're joining us from or where you're located, that would be wonderful. And with that, I'll hand it off to Sheila, who will give you more information about SoPA, and I will talk, and Brian also will talk about our program and some of the details of what you can expect to experience as a student within the program. So with that, I'll hand it off to Sheila.
Thank you, Halima. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a little context, I'm having some wonky internet today, so if at some point I freeze or you don't hear me, I'm apologizing on the front end, but hopefully we're good. Keep putting in the chat box below where you all are from. We'll keep looking at that, but we appreciate you all being here, and we always enjoy talking about our school and specifically our MPA program. So just a little context about the School of Professional Advancement. We are one of the smaller schools within larger Tulane universities. Universities are made up of smaller schools, one of which at Tulane is the School of Professional Advancement. Tulane University itself was founded in 1834 as the Medical College of Louisiana. Interestingly, or ironically, maybe, we were founded in 1834 as a response to the yellow fever epidemic, which was hitting the Gulf South very hard. And here we are, fast forward many years later, and we are in the middle of another epidemic that's become a pandemic. So we are relevant still. But what's important for you all to understand in the timeline and the connection we like to make to prospective students is that it was really a short 50 years later that the university decided to make a commitment to adult education. And the very first iteration of what is now called the School of Professional Advancement was founded at Tulane. And our commitment was to working professionals locally in New Orleans, although now we've expanded nationally and internationally, to be able to provide high quality education that fits within the schedule and the lifestyle of working adults. So we've been doing this for over 130 years. We feel like we're very good at it and one of the best in the country, if not the best. And we offer flexible and, yes, affordable, we'll talk about that, opportunities to working professionals to reach your career goals. So we're excited to continue that history and legacy today. Some of the things that we're going to talk about is our expertise in online education. Just a note about that, and we'll go into it a little deeper. Sort of everyone knows about online education in the rearview mirror after the pandemic because all education had to move to the online format. SoPA has been in the online space for years, and actually we develop our classes for the online space and have trained professionals to develop curriculum for the online space. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But one of our takeaways that I'd like you all to consider is our expertise and the difference of the feel of our classes in the online space than a lot of other schools. Our programs are exceptional, and Halima will talk a little bit about that. Our faculty is also exceptional. Most of our faculty are practitioners in the field, which means that you're learning from people who do what it is that you want to do. In my opinion, those are the best professors because there's a rare sweet spot, I think, in education of folks who can do and also can teach and share that knowledge and transmit it to the next generation of professionals. And that's exactly where you would be learning. So that is somewhat a differentiator for us and an advantage for our students. We also have exceptional student support, which we'll talk about, and then our affordability and flexibility. And then, of course, all of this comes under the umbrella of the prestige of a Tulane degree. And you all will have that degree if you choose to complete your MPA with us. So it is a recognized degree for sure nationally and also internationally. So a little bit about online learning at the School of Professional Advancement. So we have, this is just a quick little education for prospective students. At SoPA, we have master's level educators that are called instructional designers. These are folks who they're different than folks who go back to get their degree in education because they want to teach in the classroom. They're interested in actually the structure of pedagogy and how it's transmitted to students in the online space. It's a specialty. These are incredibly well-trained educators, and they look at traditional curriculum that usually gets taught in a classroom, the brick and mortar classroom, and their entire focus is how to translate that curriculum to the online space so that students are engaged, interactive, and also have the ability to create relationships with each other and with their faculty. So all of the sort of concerns that students have about online learning, their entire job is to make sure that those concerns are addressed, met, and that your experience is outstanding. So that means that for students in our programs, they not only get to know each other, but they work in small groups together. They have opportunities to meet the faculty and get to know the faculty and create relationships. They have interactive exercises. They have online discussion boards. It is not the typical sit and kind of click yourself through at your own pace on a PowerPoint. That is not what our online spaces are. And so you end up leaving feeling like, okay, sort of like we're doing right now, you get to know us, you get the flavor of personality, and then you also are very much engaging in the curriculum in a way that you are challenged and create connections. So there are online speakers and opportunities to meet your classmates and opportunities to really develop your skills. So that is quite the differentiator from our program and in many other programs. Some data, just because we're in education and we love data and facts. And these facts are actually a little bit pre-pandemic, so the numbers are even higher. We've had over 1,400 students complete over 13,000 hours of online coursework. That's how you create experts in transmitting education in the online space. We have 8 master's degrees, 19 graduate certificates, 4 post-bac certificates, which are certificates for students who already have a bachelor's degree, but they're going back for a specialty, and well over 300 courses that were all specifically developed to be taught in the online space. So this is not like we're figuring out and you know, it's the first time we're doing this. Another differentiator, which I think is really important for you all to kind of take away, is that we don't only have experts who develop our courses for the online space, but we teach our faculty how to teach in this space. And it is a little bit of a different shift for faculty members who are used to teaching in the classroom. Not a problem for the SoPA faculty, because we invest in their education so that they're very comfortable teaching in this space, to the point where they've won multiple awards for online teaching. So you will feel that as students in our classrooms. Halima, do you want to talk about the faculty and introduce them a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sheila, for kind of setting the stage for the student experience at SoPA. Excuse me, one moment, I have to cough. Apologies for that. So as you can tell, SoPA is great as a division of Tulane, and across all of our programs, the experience is very high quality, and we are very skilled at the work that we do. To look at the public administration faculty more specifically, Myself, I come to this work and come to this program with over 20 years of experience working primarily in the nonprofit sector and philanthropy as well, and engaging in this work from multiple levels, focusing on things like equity and diversity, social services, economic development, so several different areas that touch the civic sector. My colleague who's here with me today, Brian McNamara, and Brian, if you don't mind kind of jumping in and sharing some of your background as well.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Halima. Welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Brian McNamara. I just joined the Tulane SoPA faculty as a full-time professor of practice after serving more than 20 years as a commissioned officer in the United States Coast Guard, 13 years of which were spent in their legal program as a judge advocate. So I bring a lot of expertise on the intersection of public administration and law, and a lot of expertise from the public sector. And again, welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as you look at our faculty and think about our faculty, I'm exceptionally proud of them, first of all, to have them share their insight and expertise with our students. Our faculty is very diverse in their scope of experience, whether it be in government, nonprofit sector, philanthropy, private sector, all of those different areas. So they have a really broad spectrum of expertise and insight that students benefit from being a part of our program. Our faculty they are hugely committed to the success and the great experience of our students. So many of them work very closely with students and will give you insight and guidance on careers and things like that. So our faculty, they take a very hands-on approach in terms of working with our students to make sure that you not only are getting the content knowledge that you need from their coursework, but also the professional relationships. They believe in networking and working with you to establish those connections that will serve you in your career. I was actually just talking to one of our faculty members before this call, and they were sharing with me about a course that they're teaching and some of the content and the videos and the people that they've interviewed for their courses. And those individuals are also willing to talk to our students and work with our students. So our faculty overall are a great resource that go well beyond just their classroom instruction and teaching. And they're a great benefit in that they come from some of the most impressive and diverse backgrounds throughout the civic sector. And many of them have stood at the forefront, quite frankly, of some of the most impactful projects that we've seen locally and nationally. So our faculty in the public administration program are wonderful. Next slide, please. So as you look at the Master of Public Administration, our MPA, here's our mission. We are really about preparing our students to go out into the workforce being responsive, forward-thinking, and ethical civic sector leaders and professionals who can lead within a contemporary context. So our order of the day is being relevant. We really want to speak to what you will experience and what you will see when you go into the workplace. So with that in mind, we built a curriculum and built a program that offers what you see here, 12 courses that are focused on applied practice and real world contexts. We also offer not only that foundational knowledge, but we also pair that with contemporary practice. So what are we seeing in today's society? And again, as I shared about our faculty, not only do they have that great professional insight, but they also have the academic qualifications to provide you with some wonderful perspective as you go through this program and as you experience the courses. Because our program is fully online, there's a high degree of flexibility and accessibility. It works very well if you are currently in service or you're currently working in a career path and you are looking perhaps to transition in some way, or if you're looking to grow your career. Also, if you're a recent grad and you kind of want to break into the field, being that we do have the ability to engage with you online, it offers some increased flexibility. We were designed that way pre-COVID. I kind of jokingly say I did not predict COVID, nor did I cause it, but we were designed for ultimate adaptability, if you will. So that's one of the key features and benefits of our program that I appreciate highly in the work that we do, because honestly, when you get into the civic sector, being adaptable, being flexible and accessible are kind of the order of the day. We have standalone graduate certificates. So for students who are interested in perhaps starting with a content area, and this usually works well for people who already have a bit of experience under their belt. If you're interested in a particular content area, you can start with the certificates, and the certificates do stack or fold into the full degree. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So that is an option for consideration as well. And then we do have some accelerated degree completion options. Traditionally or usually it takes students about 2 years if part-time to complete the program. And that's if they are taking 2 courses each term, fall, summer, and spring, you'd be able to complete in 2 years. If you go full-time, and it's a little bit more than full-time for graduate study, so it would be 12 credit hours a term, which is 4 classes, you can complete in 1 year. So for students who are doing the 1-year pathway, I do recommend that they don't have any other significant responsibilities. So if you're looking at 1 year, it is a pretty rigorous course load to carry, but it is certainly feasible. Next slide. So these are, again, some of the degree requirements for the program. We have 7 core courses. Some of our courses that are in the core focus on things like technology, data, equity and inclusion, budgeting and financial management, and of course, policy. And again, they really look at what are we seeing in real world day-to-day contexts. And then the concentration areas are listed here. And these were designed primarily out of need. What are we seeing that are the most pressing questions and the most pressing issues within today's civic sector? So you see here some areas of specialization that you can focus on. And again, they are really designed to give you that skill set and give you that perspective that speaks directly to what we see in the contemporary field. I'm actually very happy to see that we have quite a few people who are local. So you will notice as you go through our concentration areas and our electives within these concentrations, you'll notice that New Orleans is a lens that we use. The local Greater New Orleans area is a lens that we use in navigating and discussing some of the issues and topics throughout our concentration areas. So you quite possibly may see come to life things that you've experienced being, living in Gentilly or Kenner or Metairie. So some of those areas. So those are some good things, good points of contact, I think, and context as you are going through our courses and working with our faculty. Next slide. So we also have experiential components that you'll experience in this program. So you see those not only throughout all of our courses, but also in things like our capstone. We also have a residency that's a weekend residency, which usually takes place in the summer or is scheduled to take place in the summer, early June, or usually the dates, and you get advance notice for that. I will say for the residency that you can take that or complete it at any time in your matriculation. So some students want to do the residency early, others want to do it towards the end. You have flexibility there. And then for students who do not have at least 3 years of work experience in the field, we do ask that they do an internship that allows them to build that experience. And that internship experience can be done kind of in conjunction with the capstone or any other format that we determine works best. We do want to speak to your needs as a student. So there's a high degree of flexibility in navigating some of these components. So if you want to, like I said, fold your internship together with your capstone, we can talk about what that might look like. If you want to do your residency early and incorporate your capstone into your residency, for instance, we can also talk about that, because ultimately I want this to be an experience that's useful and productive for you, given what your background and your interests are. Next slide. So the field of public administration broadly, there's projected growth, and that's no surprise, I think, given all the things that we see in contemporary society. These are some statistics that were honestly pulled pre-COVID. So I would argue that these numbers are probably very, very, very low. And I do need to go back and review where we are today. I would be surprised if they haven't tripled in projections, honestly. But listed here are some examples of some career paths that you might consider taking, or that you might be able to grow into with a master's degree in public administration. Our careers are typically within government, nonprofits, and the private sector, but it's certainly not limited to those areas. There are some individuals who are able to carve out an entrepreneurial path for themselves with a degree in or with an MPA or a graduate certificate in the area. So it's a very broad field, and it's really about community impact and making a difference in our local cities, nationally and statewide as well. So these are some of your career options that you might want to explore as a student building expertise in this area. As I mentioned earlier, our certificates are stackable. Again, these are some of the certificate areas that you can focus in. And again, these are great for students who already have an established background and they want to kind of jump in on the front end with completing coursework that's most relevant to the field that they are already in. And thinking about sequencing of courses, we do have, if you do the full MPA, the first course that you will take, and it's required of all students, is our policy course. But at that point, you can bundle all of our courses in whatever pattern that you decide to do. So there's not a high level of restriction in terms of course sequencing either. So you do have a few options in how you chart your path throughout this program. But if you do go the certificate route, know that you can apply that coursework to the full MPA. And I encourage students to do that because you might as well earn the full MPA if you've gotten those 12 credits in those certificates already. And for the following slides, so for the following slides, you'll see here the courses that are involved in our different certificate areas. For the nonprofit and strategic philanthropy management certificate, you choose 4 of these 5 courses, and they really give you a great broad view of what the primary issues are that are happening within the nonprofit and philanthropic space. So they build a very strong foundation for you there. With our next certificate, that focuses on ed leadership. It focuses on K through 12 education leadership. This is really great for students who are pursuing non-instructional roles. So you may be interested in ed policy. You may be interested in leading a nonprofit that supports K through 12 education. And this really positions you to take on a leadership role in understanding some of the key factors that have an impact or influence our education sector. Our next certificate that focuses on economic development, this one will be launching officially in the fall, so August of 2021, and really positions you, like the others, to focus in this space and develop that specialized expertise. We are currently offering courses in this certificate, but again, it officially launches in the fall. So if you're interested, this is a great time to apply for this one as well. And I'll say the same for the final certificate area that we have in environmental management and resilience. This one also launches in the fall. I believe we're offering 1 or 2 courses in this one right now, but we do, again, offer that expertise that you can build on if you're interested in having an opportunity to impact any of these fields: energy, housing, certainly the intersection of economic development and education, and how the environment manages or has an impact in those areas. So again, our certificates are, along with our MPA, an exceptional opportunity for you to build out some really strong expertise in some key areas that we see driving civic sector conversations today. Next slide. So with that, I'll hand it back to Sheila, who can talk about next steps and also some of our student support and the great work that we do there.
Thanks again, Halima. So we at SoPA are not only committed to getting students in, which is kind of where you all are in this process. You're looking at a program and what you want to, pursue and the application process. But we're also committed to your success when you're in the program, and nothing is more exciting to us than seeing our students graduate and launch into their career. So we have a scaffolding in place to guarantee that you can be successful at our school. So we have academic advisors at SoPA that are just dedicated to our students. They're not shared with any other department at the school, and that's also an important distinction when making choices. Our academic advisors are available to you, and they're available to you virtually daily. All of our academic advisors in their email signature have a link to their calendars. So if you wake up one morning and think, oh, I have a question about registration or navigating a course or sort of managing my time, all the questions that you have for your advisor, you can go and schedule yourself on their calendar that day, and they will have time available for you. That is one of the advantages of going to a school like Tulane, who's committed to their student success. We talked a little bit about the fact that our faculty don't just teach, they do. So that's helpful in terms of an advantage for our students because our faculty understand the field that you all are studying and can help you navigate it for a job. Because ultimately, we know, we're very aware, we're not afraid to say it. That is why students go back to school, because they want to eventually get a job in the field in which they study. So let us help you do that. Learn from the types of people who can connect you to people who are hiring and can say to you, these are the skills that currently the marketplace is looking for in each one of your classes. So when you think of the slide before this that Halima was showing you with all the different classes that you're going to take, it's great to have faculty who can say, these are the readings for this week, and we're going to talk about the information in here that is going to help you in the workforce. Connecting those dots for you is incredibly advantageous. We have our own in-house, once again, just for SoPA, not shared with any other department, career advisor. She's incredibly knowledgeable. We encourage all of our students to reach out to her, Cynthia Washington, and she can help you all along the way. Not only does she feed students, for instance, I'm going to give you a real world example. About 2 hours ago, our current students got a student support and success newsletter that we send out on a monthly basis. And every month in that newsletter are links to job opportunities. We put that in there. Cynthia Washington puts that in there. Those are opportunities that you all could look at right away. She's also available to students just to talk through concerns that you might have, help you interview for jobs, do mock interviewing, look at your resume, help you put a LinkedIn page together and update it. Those are the sorts of things that we have available to our students that will help you be positioned well at graduation. And then, of course, we have our Tulane community community of peers and alumni that can help position you as well. And that's all part of what you get when you come to Tulane. So these are the things that set our graduates apart and help them be successful from admissions all the way through getting a job. So we offer what's called credit for prior learning. And this is a way that our students can get credit for knowledge that they have, credit for a course, for knowledge that they have that they've developed in the workforce before they even come in. So for instance, I always like to use the example of grant writing. Let's say that there's a grant writing course that you would have to take as part of this program. If you've been grant writing and been a part of that professionally, there's no need for you to take a grant writing course. And so we have a mechanism so that you can reach out to Halima first and then to an advisor and say, I'm interested in getting credit for this. I don't think I need to pay for the course or spend my time taking this course. And there's a process through which you can demonstrate that you have the knowledge that meets all of the knowledge competencies that you would learn from that class. And if you can prove that you already have those, you can get credit for that course. That's important for two reasons. Well, three reasons. The first one is you won't sit through a course that you would be bored sitting through. The second one is that it moves you more quickly through the master's program. So it speeds up your time to completion. And it's also a savings. That's tuition savings. So that's part of how we're flexible and we work with working adults. So if you have a knowledge base that you bring into this program, please reach out to us and let us know that this is something that you would like to pursue. And we certainly encourage our students to do that. It applies to certificates as well, correct, Halima?
Actually, no, it only applies to master's degrees. And that's partially because the certificates are only 12 credit hours. And you can get up to 6 credits. So that would cut the certificates in half. So it's focused on master's degrees.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right, so we try to make our application process as simple as possible. There are always questions that pop up during the application process. And so I like to let students know that philosophically, we as a school see the application process as the beginning of our relationship building with you all. So that's to say, please don't be shy. If you have questions as you apply, reach out to me, reach out to Dr. Leek Francis, reach out to faculty members. We like to help our students navigate this process, but we also like to get to know you because that's, at least for me, my favorite part of my job is the relationships that I build along the way. So our application is an electronic application. It lives on our website. The address to that website is on the bottom of this page, sopa.tulane.edu. That's our homepage. There's a big button at the top that says apply. Click that and it will get you into our application portal. We do have a $50 application fee for our graduate programs. However, as our thank you for coming and spending your time in the middle of what I'm sure is a busy day, we automatically waive that fee for you. So we're capturing attendance at this webinar today and give us about 24 hours to sort of put that information in our system, and the $50 will be credited towards your application when you apply. We do require that students upload a clear image of a current valid government ID. For most students, that is your driver's license or a passport. You can simply take a picture on your phone and just upload that picture to your application. And then we will need transcripts sent to us from any undergraduate or graduate institution where you received credits. So there are 2 ways we can get your transcripts. You can send them sort of snail mail, US Postal Service, or you can send them to us electronically. I prefer electronic transmission if at all possible. Most universities, you can go to your university's registrar site and they have an electronic transmission process. However, if US mail is your only option, that is okay too. It just slows it down a little bit. Another point that we like to to share with our prospective students is that we do not require the GRE for admissions to our master's program. We subscribe to what the data tells us about standardized tests, and they are not necessarily indicators of success in graduate programs, and so we do not require them.
And I'll add to the application, sorry to jump in or cut you off, Sheila, but as you're thinking about your application, just give careful thought to your responses to the personal statement prompts. There are a few, I think about 3 questions on there that give you an opportunity to expand on and discuss your interest in the program and some of the topics that you may think are really important. So I really encourage you to give thought to that and use the character or the word count ability to present the strongest case that you can for enrollment or applying to the program, because that does give us the ability to assess your application, and the program is growing in terms of competitive applicant pool. So we want to make sure that you're in position to put your best foot forward.
Thank you, Halima, for adding that in. Right, so the written essays are a way to assess who you are as a student, but also your ability to write. So I always tell students, really, proofread, make sure that your punctuation, your grammar, all of those things, that you're putting your best foot forward. So some application deadlines. Our summer term application has passed for this summer. However, some of you may be planning a year and ahead. Our summer application is May 1st. Those of you who are considering starting in the fall, which is our traditional start date, August 1st is our application deadline, so you still have plenty of time. And then for those of you who are thinking of starting in January 1 is our application deadline. We do have several early enrollment scholarships, so that means that if you apply, are accepted, and register by these dates, you will get a $500 scholarship just credited to your first semester of tuition. So for summer term, that's an April 25th registration deadline. For August, it's June 1, it just passed. And then for the January term, if you apply, are accepted, and register for classes by December 1, you will have this $500 applied to your first semester of tuition. So we encourage students, it's just money that we offer to you to sort of ease you into your first semester and encourage you to sort of think through and get your application in as quickly as possible. We do read applications on a rolling basis. So even though we have application deadlines, if you get your application in sooner and it is complete, it will be evaluated and we will offer you a decision. So there's no disincentive to getting your application in early. As a matter of fact, we incentivize you to do so that you can plan, register, and be settled well before you start your term. So I always like to talk to students about the affordability of our program. Part of our commitment going back 130 years is that we know that working professionals are a little bit of a different student than the traditional student who sort of stops their work life and the rest of their responsibilities to just focus on school. You all are juggling lots of different requirements in your life and responsibilities. And so we know that going back to school is an investment, and we certainly respect that. And so we try to keep our tuition attainable and affordable, as well as keep our fees very low. So our fall tuition rate is $1,119 per credit hour. Most of our classes, all of our classes, are 3 credit hours. So it's about $3,300 per class, and students often take 1 to 2 classes per semester. We have very low fees on top of that. Our fees are actually broken down on our website, but when comparing our school to other schools, and I know that students are savvy consumers, always compare fees. There are schools, even within our New Orleans community, that when you add the fees on top of the tuition, it will almost double what you pay each semester. That is not the case. Our faculty are also they're very intentional about not having students pay for books and materials that they don't need. If there are readings that they can upload to the Canvas site so that you don't have to purchase a book, they will do that. We also have resources on campus, our Office for Academic Equity, for example, that can help students get access to books and resources at reduced prices, or in some cases at very low fees. So we encourage our students to keep that in mind and understand that we are intentional about making sure that students aren't overly burdened financially. Most of our students, however, still apply for some sort of financial aid. You do have to fill out the FAFSA form for financial aid. It's the federal form that all schools require. I encourage all students to start the FAFSA form at the same time that you start your application for admission. The FAFSA does require several pieces of documentation. It can take some time. Then, of course, you submit it. It needs to be reviewed. You get information back. So it can take several weeks to go through that process. So please don't delay if you are pursuing financial aid. We also offer other forms of support. Federal grants and loans are the financial aid process, but we are very proudly a yellow ribbon school. We do very much support our current military and veterans. And so if that's a program that you could take advantage of, we would proudly help you navigate that process. And then we do have several 20% tuition discounts for various types of students. Active duty military and veterans, retired public safety personnel, and there may be several of those of you in our audience, very appropriate marriage for the MPA program. And then if any of you have received your bachelor's degree from a minority serving institution, an HBCU or a Hispanic serving institution or a Indigenous person serving institution, we offer a 20% scholarship for you. And so we would just need your undergraduate transcript, which you would have to offer anyway from that institution, and see that you received your degree. So that is a new scholarship for us, and one that we are very proud of. And then, of course, we talked a few slides prior about the credit for prior learning. That is a savings of tuition. So if you already come in with some knowledge competency and there's a class or two you do not have to take, that's a savings of time and money.
And I wanted to chime in on that as well. Sometimes students may have started a graduate program in another institution and they have transfer credits. I do typically review those transfer credits if you want to substitute out or switch out from another course. And what we'll do is we review the syllabus and your completion of that course and see how it translates to the objectives of the courses that we have. So that's another opportunity to consider as well in that same vein.
That's great. Okay, so Halima's information is on the screen. So you can take a picture of that, or we actually will send you all tomorrow a thank you for attending this webinar email with a link to this webinar, so you can go through and review and see that information. You can also reach out to me if you have questions. My email is sgold@tulane.edu. My information is also on the website, and you can send questions to me. Dr. Leek Francis is a little bit more for the curriculum questions. I'm a little bit more the financial aid scholarship piece. And so I very much would love to hear from you all and answer any questions that you might have. So any other questions that we can address for you all?
There are a couple of questions in the chat. There's Michael asked, did I see online that there's also a discounted rate for educators?
That is true. That is true. Current educators are eligible for our 20% discount.
And I believe that's for Orleans Parish and Jefferson Parish, if I'm remembering.
That's
correctly.
Orleans Parish.
Orleans Parish,
Yes.
okay. And before we sign off, Brian, did you have anything that you wanted to add as well?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. I'll just put in my closing argument, since I'm a licensed attorney, right? My closing argument for this particular program. I'll say that for an MPA, I took an MPA degree in order to prepare for law school, and it ended up launching my career trajectory in ways that I never could have even imagined at the time. And in terms of Tulane's program, I would like to emphasize everything that Sheila is saying is absolutely true about the practical experience of the educators and the networks that you can tap into as a student in this program. But this is also an absolute powerhouse academic program harnessed with the absolute best advantages of the School of Professional Advancement. So I know you are savvy consumers. I can attest that as the new guy, that there is a tremendous level of detail and preparation that goes into making this program at this school the absolute best possible experience for you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Brian, for that. And then I'm just going to put in this is my editorial piece. The MPA is one of those degrees that it's nimble. It allows you to do multiple things during the course of your career and helps you open doors and multiple different opportunities. And so, I mean, I think that Halima and Brian can sort of talk to their peers who they've worked with and their colleagues who have sort of done different things. You can almost reinvent yourself based on the experience that you have. So it's a very exciting kind of degree to get, because it will carry you through a very long career with some exciting things that you can't anticipate. So I'm always excited to talk about the MPA program, because I know that our students are going to set themselves up for success in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And I'll add, Sheila, it might be helpful if you put in the chat a link to the financial resources page.
I'm going to ask our colleague Anne behind the scenes. Anne, do you mind before we log off just kind of getting that link and dropping it in? That would be great.
And it lists out all of the
the educator discount is for our education program. Our discounts, I believe, Halima, and I would have to clarify this, may be applicable for the education certificate, but we would have to look specifically for you and get back to you all. So if you want to send me an email, I can go ahead and address that for you. So sgold@tulane.edu.
Yes. So thank you for that question, Elsa. And there's also a question, will the slides be available? So a recording will be made available, and you can access the slides through the recording to view those. And just as we log off, having come here to Tulane to develop and launch this program, I'm so proud of what we've built. And I think that the students who we already have in the program are indeed a testament to the great experiences and the skills that you have the ability to develop in this work, and our faculty as well. So I look forward to reviewing all of your applications. And if you have any questions after we log off, as Sheila said, about curriculum, experience in the program, feel free to reach out to myself. Brian is also searchable on the website. And if you have any questions about admissions process or financial aid or any of those types of elements, Sheila is happy to be a resource as well. So
yep, and the link to the financial resources, Anne just popped in, as well as my email address. So please reach out and let us help you successfully become a student in our classroom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.